Dominica, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the Talk on the Block. If it's on the block, we'll talk about it. It's already 1:10 in the afternoon. Thursday it is, the 7th of May, 2026. If it's on the block, we'll talk about it. We have two guests in studios. Both of them have been here many times, so there will be no strangers, huh? And this afternoon, our focus is Debwash. What's the latest there? It's been some time. We'll take a break and we'll come right back. This is the Talk on the Block.
Dominica revolves at AC Shillingford and Company. For timeless, trusted, dependable, comprehensive insurance coverage, it has to be New India Insurance. Need anything overseas? Shopbox Dominica and Isle of Freight is your advance on-time delivery right to your doorstep. For super savings on all your groceries, come to ACS Super Shopping Center for laundry, groceries, cooking, beverages, and event supplies on King Jonathan Street. ACS 7-Eleven on High Street supplying your everyday essentials. Fill up your vehicle gas tanks, get your cooking gas, and top-ups of all kinds. Or go to 7-Eleven Portersville, where the best-kept secret is conveniently located upstairs in the confidential escape or staycation self-contained accommodations at the Porter's Place. AC Shillingford, where you spend less and get more.
Lift me up, Lord, out of the dark. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I waited so long in the cold and the rain. Thought I was drowning in a river of pain. My feet were stuck deep in the thick miry clay. I couldn't find the words or the courage to pray. Oh, but you reached right down from the heavens above, and you pulled me out with your unending love. You set on my feet on a solid hard rock and gave me a new song that the devil came out. Yes, Lord, a brand new song. The pit was so deep and the walls were so steep. I cried out to heaven while the whole world was asleep. You heard my faith whisper over all of the noise. You brought back my hope and you brought back my joy. From the heavens up and you pulled me out with your unending love. You set both my feet on a solid hard rock and gave me a new song that the devil came out. Lord, we lift up the listener who feels completely stuck today. Those who feel like they are sinking in a pit of despair, reach your mighty hand down into their darkness, pull them out of the mud and set their feet on solid ground. Put a new song of praise in their mouth tonight. Remind them that they are not forgotten, standing on the rock. Amen.
This afternoon, Dominica, we have Mr. Jerry Brisbane, environmentalist, activist, a supporter of Dave Wash, engineer Mr. Anthony LeBlanc, as we continue to explore and bring some light on the Dave Wash issue. Let me just, of course, by way of introduction, say good afternoon to you, Mr. Jerry Brisbane. How are you?
Well, Matt, good afternoon. Good afternoon to your listeners.
Good afternoon to you.
How am I,
You
Matt?
always seem so peaceful.
Matt, how am I? I'm not too good.
Not too good. Why?
Well, Matt, on a day like today, there are about 1,000 other places or more. I would love to be in Dominica rather than air conditioned
Studio.
studio.
Okay.
That much. So I'm not too good. But I'm here all the same.
All the same.
Yeah, doing the work that I've chosen to do. I
Mm.
guess, like anything else.
And you continue to stand for Dave Wash.
Yeah, well, I mean, the wash is just a symptom of a overall situation, Matt, which we'll talk about. But yeah, for now, it's the wash. There has been many other things in the past, and probably be many others as we go along.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right. You keep standing
Well,
for things that are right.
once there's life and strength, Matt, I celebrate that every day, and I can stand. I will stand.
Mr. Anthony LeBlanc, good afternoon to you. It's been a long time.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
I'm here taking my blows
Ah.
like everybody else. 1 second at a time.
Well, I haven't found somebody that takes 5 seconds at a time yet. You would be new. Yeah, probably on the quiet side, trying to make sure I keep people employed and
Okay.
keep contributing economically to this country.
Mm.
As Jerry said, I could be somewhere else, trying to get some more work to keep the 80 plus employees employed.
80.
Yeah, 80 plus is more than 80, between 80 and 100.
Wow.
But
So you can say business is good then.
business has to be done. There's some good days, there's some bad days, but things have to be done. It's not a very good economy to work in. It's not a very competitive. Well, it's a non-competitive environment. Those who work well are not necessarily those who continue to get work. As you know, I have said it before that we have a procurement act that legalizes corruption. So those things don't
Let
help.
it legalize corruption.
Well, I said that in your studios before, but you probably were not listening.
I'm just asking that you're saying it like it's happening as we speak.
It has done that. I mean, as I've said before, you can.
Has it's passed,
It is currently.
Okay.
Yeah, it's current.
All right,
I mean, as I've said before, any permanent secretary can come and say, Matt, you do all the programming for the government for the next 20 years, and it's legal.
Yeah.
Nobody else had to compete. No.
I've heard in recent times that even government ministers are taking up jobs.
Well, I don't know who is taking up jobs. All I know is that it's not a transparent process, and that the taxpayer don't benefit from this one-time corrupt practice.
Well, that's something we'll talk about in the near future. But today we want to concentrate on Devansh.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna start off there just for transparency's sake. We heard in the news conference yesterday this from the Prime Minister. It appears that everything is B plus A-okay. Let's find out.
The quarry site and environmental compliance. The Governor Dominica acknowledges the concerns raised by environmental activists, community members, and opposition parties regarding the proposed quarrying site at Debwash to supply material for the International Airport project. There have been a few missteps in compliance with environmental protection requirements, but government is listening and acting. The Debwash Quarry proposal is currently under review by the Physical Planning Division. No final approval will be granted until all requirements of the Physical Planning Act and Environmental Protection and Biodiversity laws are satisfied. Dominica's designation as a nature island is central to our national identity and economy. Government will not compromise the integrity of our rivers, forests, or ecosystems. All projects, including critical national infrastructure, must meet the highest environmental standards. We are fully committed to balancing development with preservation.
So that the devil came. Lord, we lift up the listener who feels completely stuck today. Those who feel like they are sinking in a pit of despair. Reach your mighty hand down into their darkness. Pull them out of the mud and set their feet on solid ground. Put a new song of praise in their mouth tonight. Remind them that they are not forgotten. Standing on the rock. Amen. Walk with me, Lord, through this deep and lonely valley. The shadows are stretching across the canyon wall, but I'm listening closely to hear my shepherd call. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not fear the darkness. For I draw my breath.
Well, you have heard the Prime Minister, Jerry. You have heard the Prime Minister, Mr. LeBlanc. What's your thoughts?
Mark, before we even deal with that, as I always do, and I would like to do, and it relates to all of that too, is read our mission, the group, Save the Wash, which is about spiritual awakening. And what it says, Matt, is that we are up against the challenge of spiritual warfare. warfear. So it's spelled. The type of fear that is out of disrespect for our Creator, ourselves, humanity, nature. One that feeds hate, division, jealousy, anger, war, greed, selfishness, lies, destruction, complexity, and which places our spirit in darkness, bondage, and imprisonment. We need to break the chains of that spirit, and the way we will achieve that is with the type of fear that leads to respect for our Creator, ourselves, humanity, nature. One that feeds, just 1 second. Creator, nature. One that breeds love, understanding, truth, peace, humility, oneness, strength, simplicity, and in turn places our spirit in a state of freedom where the people will no longer be shackled but will be free at last. And so that to me is very important anytime we engage ourselves in discussion, because the way we have been doing that Save the Wash is through knowledge. Knowledge is power. Information, as you know, is the greatest thing. And so it ties in really nicely with what we just heard that you just played, which started off good, Matt, for the program, because I think Tony, myself, had a good laugh,
What are you laughing about?
Well, I mean, Matt, obviously, it can be serious. Because, Matt, let me just do something quickly again.
Yes.
Because, besides what other things the Prime Minister said, maybe in his thing, you may have more to
News
play.
conference,
We'll
yes.
see. But he talked about, just in that little clipping, he talked about doing that all projects must meet critical environmental conditions and so on, whatever. I don't know if he's living in a different world, a different place, whatever it is, but clearly we have seen that is not and has not been the case with Abrash, for sure. There are issues with the international airport in terms of meeting environmental standards. And more recently, Matt, I actually wrote to the physical planning again, communicating, because I want knowledge is power.
Right.
And again, I want to free my spirit. I want to break this bondage that so many people are in terms of, not knowing and the fear of everything else. And so I wrote to them regarding the Carbridge Marina project. Do you know there's a project in Portsmouth?
Yeah, Marina, yes.
Yeah. So again, just for knowledge, information, Matt. And I asked them and I requested from them documents and information regarding again the ESIs and all permits and whatever, just like we did for Dewash again, just again for information and knowledge. And this is a response on the April 22nd, 2026. And it was in response to my correspondence, which I sent on dated April the 9th. Well, it says March 9th, but that was a mistake. I corrected it. As a formal request to access documents put into the Range Marina Development Phase 1, located at Bell Hall Beach, Caribbean National Park. Please be informed that the development application project, and he gives the number, was received by the Physical Planning Division on the 25th of November 2024, man. Okay? Take note of that date.
Okay.
The application was taken up at a meeting of the Development and Planning Corporation held on Tuesday, October 21st, 2025, and was deferred. Currently, the Environmental and Social Management Plan was returned to Range Marina Development Limited, government, because it's a partnership, I guess, of the Commonwealth of Dominica on November 17th, 2025, with notice to complete the development application. To date, the application has not been resubmitted to the Physical Planning Division. So you're now talking 7 months ago. Just the application. A copy of the application form is attached as per your request. So, Mark, I requested all documentation. So unless if the physical planning is withholding, I don't know. I would hope not. I don't think so. All I got was an application form. That's apparently not even so. And this project, Matt, started since they have been digging up in that place since 24, from my understanding. So if it is that the leadership is true to his word, well, then something is seriously wrong, because he says must, must. So this is one that is not again. And there will be more. As time goes along, Matt, I intend to try to get knowledge and information for my own personal self. Tony obviously will.
Yes, Matt. I heard the Prime Minister, and yes, it was laughable, because government projects, quite a few, don't meet the requirements that is set out in laws in Dominica. To the extent that recently a permanent secretary, whose one of his main functions is uphold the law of the state. He's the CEO of any government ministry. He has more power than a minister under the law. That permanent secretary said in relation to Debranche, basically, and I'm paraphrasing what he said several times, that if there is an issue, I will overrule the law. This country is chaotic, Matt. There are several areas on that Debranche project that still have a lot that needs to be desired. And the Prime Minister didn't say it, but the Physical Planning Division did give planning permission for crusher equipment to be erected on the site. And if I may just read what it says, please be informed that permission has been granted to install the crusher equipment, but the operational of the crusher is strictly prohibited. I'm not sure if that makes sense to you. But on that very same communication, the physical planning says, project description highlighted on page 43 should include details of the crusher equipment, design, size, and process. How can you give permission without knowing what you're giving permission for, first of all? And two, how can you give permission to erect equipment but say you cannot operate it? That doesn't make sense. So those things are really laughable, and it shows that the country is in total chaos, operational chaos. And those are the issues that we have, Matt. And if we go back to Debranche, there are a few areas that we need to highlight, that issues that were not addressed. Um, let me go back to the waste generation by the quarry as proposed in the AIA is humongous. We're speaking about estimated 532,000 cubic meters of waste, overburden and mining waste that will be generated for 400,000 cubic yards of aggregate. That is 1 1/3 more waste than the aggregate you're getting. Nowhere in any quarry in Dominica you have this volume of waste generation. So that's one big issue. The other issue has to deal with where you store that waste. If you were to store it on the same area of land that you were to mine, and they spoke about 19 acres, we're speaking about 22 feet of waste on 19 acres. If you were to store it on the 7 acres of land at Londonderry that they're speaking about, where the airport is already throwing waste, and it's already at least 40 feet high, we're speaking about another 61, 62 feet of waste stored on that 7 acres. That's 100 feet of waste already. To put it in perspective, the cathedral steeple is 80 feet. So you're speaking about waste that would basically cover the cathedral several times, because the cathedral is only about half an acre, about a quarter acre. It's about 100 feet by 100 feet, basically. So that's about a quarter acre, roughly. So you're speaking about 20 times the area of the cathedral by about 100 feet of waste for building this airport. The impact of transportation. The EIA just glossed over the impact of transportation. As a matter of fact, the EIA had some unprofessional way of dealing with traffic and traffic count. But that being said, you have to transport between waste and quarry material almost 1 million cubic meters, 931 cubic meters of material from Debwash to Londonderry. And on the average, you're speaking about 288 heavy trucks per day going back and forth. That will easily, in a 24-hour, for 12 hours, 7 days a week, you can imagine this amount of trucks on the road to the airport or to Marigot or to Wesley. This amount of increased traffic. Their traffic study, even though it was badly done, shows there are only 2 trucks on the average per hour. You add in 24 trucks per hour on this truck. That is humongous. And to say that the impact of transportation would be medium, it is severe. So those impacts were pretty much glossed over, and the planning division haven't dealt with things like that. To have 24 more large trucks in 12 hours, 7 days a week, for at least 18 months on the road is a huge impact. But we also speaking about one of the main reasons why the EIA said it wanted the quarry at Debwash is to get 400 cubic meters of aggregate, because the transportation cost is huge, taking it from our existing quarries. When I did the figures on transportation costs between Debwash and
Collier?
Debwash and Collio, Debwash and Poncassi, where you can get Tarish,
Mm-hmm.
because you need base material, need aggregates from Collio, not Debwash, that's now. Between Debwash and the airport, which is what they want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and the alternative would be Collio and the airport, or Collio and Watiab to get Tarish. The difference in cost is less than $3 million.
But always remember that their experts claim that the material from Debwash is of greater density than that of Collier.
But
So that's what they're sticking with Debwash,
Well,
according to them.
I'm going by the planning's division response.
Okay.
It says there are no tests. You have not provided any tests for the material in Debwash. So how could they say that? They have no basis for saying that. I mean, engineering test of material is something that's done
So
routinely.
you're looking for the test to prove that.
But the physical plan division says you have not provided the test. I'm not looking for it. They have not provided it.
Mhm.
I'm not the one looking for it. It has to be provided. If you have to make a claim
Right.
on a factor, you have to provide evidence that that factor exists.
And that has not been provided.
That has not been provided. But not only that, we have built airports already on the material that's available locally.
Mhm.
Why is the government adverse to putting money back into the economy by using our existing quarries instead of building new ones and destroying the environment?
But you know, Tony, I can answer that last part because it's all about the Chinese.
Mhm.
Wherever Chinese go and do developments, they always try not to buy stuff from the local entities or
Yeah.
the islands. They always bring in their stuff back.
Mhm.
That's a tradition. That's something we do for sure. And unless if the governments negotiate otherwise, that's what they do. For instance, the cement.
Mhm.
I mean, look at that. You could get cement from the region. Cement is
Yeah.
that's where we get it. But they went right to China to get cement to bring into Dominica. Right?
And the
No,
co-
maybe they
and-
can go to China to get rock material. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's what they want to do. But I think that's really one of the areas where the government may be cornered or their backs against the wall. I don't know. I'm just saying that's how the Chinese operate. But just to also come back to the point of the quality of the material, which we talked about, which we know is suitable,
Mhm.
right? Because being used in Antigua usually.
Yeah.
I have in my hand here, Matt, here a physical document with the tests that were done on Collier material
Okay.
yeah, for the specifications of a runway, which has all kind of things, polished stone value, Los Angeles abrasion. These are the different
Yeah.
tests that are done
Mhm.
to ensure the rock. And from the information here, the rock meets the required
The
standards.
standards.
So this has been done on Cordio right here. I mean, I could show it to your people. So this is not fake. And so nothing like that we have seen for Debash. Absolutely nothing. Or even Crapo Hall. Nothing has been done. But this has been done. So we know Cordio. I don't think the issue is whether Cordio meets the standards or not. I think what has happened, Matt, is that they have moved the narrative so many times, right? You see that it was about Devash being the most dense. Well, I think they've stuck with that because they realize
Density, yes.
So now they're talking about cost. That's the last thing they've been talking about, cost and movement through the villages and this kind of stupidness, right? So the bottom line is Tony has just indicated
Mhm.
that cost is again so negligible, $3 million. But
And
that
$1
$3
billion
million,
project.
Matt,
And $1 billion project.
yes, but that $3 million has already been used up. Just the works they have done
Exactly.
to put the wall
Mhm.
and the things for the crusher. There's probably $5-6 million.
But not only that, you have to pay for the mitigation, and the mitigation is going to cost us more than $3 million. But beside that, Matt, when you go back to the quarry material, whether it was tested, it's also frightening that we do not have test results for the aggregate being used on the airport now.
Mhm.
If the planning division is saying you didn't provide any tests, what's going on? Who is overseeing the airport?
But to your point, Tony and Jerry, they have also said, I think Mr. Capitola was on this radio, and he said, your scientists or your geologists have not proven just yet that the rocks in the Marigot area there where Mr. James is much stronger. Crapo Hall is much stronger than that of Debash.
Well, you see, Matt, it's not our role to prove. And two things.
Mhm.
There's a quality requirement. And if you meet the quality requirement, whether you're strong or not, you have met the quality requirement.
Okay.
So the point is, Collier meets the quality requirement. I'm not saying it stopper for any of the quarries in Collier, but Collier meets it. We have, when we were doing the seawall in Point Michel, we test material from Carib sand and stone and Collier for concrete. Both of them meet the requirements for concrete. We send it to Carrier in Trinidad. It's something that can be done and something that can be done quite readily. And that's something that should be available for transparency for an airport.
Mhm.
And to say that the Flying Division, for the Flying Division to say that it doesn't have the results, and you put in an EIA to justify that you want this material because it's stronger. Who are we dealing with? Children?
So you say the cost is insignificant.
The transportation cost is really insignificant when you compare the cost of also developing that quarry. It's definitely insignificant because
Would,
The-
would,
the-
would you
because-
would you bring it in by the barges, or would you use the same trucks to do that?
trucks locally, you could do that. You can, well, the development of the airport have outlawed the use of barges because you don't have a landing place for the airport. So you could not, Collier has a facility, but you do not have it for the airport. And that's amazing. The amount of material we bring in from Roseau, those cement,
Mhm.
and question whether proper EIA was done for the airport, because to have mechanically stabilized earth, which is what they're doing, and using cement as opposed to other things like geogrid is very questionable. And given the environmental impact that you can have from cement, you have increased the alkalinity of the soil and the river and the sea tremendously whenever you do that. And there are other issues with using cement as mechanically stabilized earth. Whether that was the best idea, but it definitely was the best idea from an economic point of view for China and the China state contractors, which we end up using, given that only China state contractors were allowed to bid on this job. No other foreign company was allowed to bid on this job. Only China state. And we have to start
But
asking.
do we, and then the
Yeah.
Prime Minister has challenged your capacity in the past.
My capacity?
No, I'm local capacity, not
Well,
not just you.
The prime minister is local too, He's challenging his capacity as a prime minister, probably. At the end of the day, Matt, you cannot have local capacity unless you give opportunity for growth.
Mhm.
And this administration has not done it. Definitely not in construction. Definitely. I mean, I remember in 2011,
Mhm.
standing with C.O. Williams, the contract for Port Michel seawall. And the Prime Minister was actually quite happy that no local company could qualify, even though we went in as a joint venture with C.O. Williams.
Mhm.
I mean, when you see this type of demeanor from a Prime Minister about local capacity, it means something is wrong. When you keep bringing in the Chinese to do work that we could do locally, something is wrong. So the Prime Minister is not interested in developing local capacity, definitely. Look at the education system in terms of training people in technical areas. It's to the lowest it has been. How can you develop capacity without educating people? So the talk about local capacity is just something to put in the dustbin, really, because the Prime Minister himself knows he has done very little to develop local capacity, definitely not in construction. As a matter of fact, if he had, he would have a competitive procurement law in place that allow competition, because the best way to develop capacity is to put people to compete against each other. You develop capacity, you develop good techniques, and you can get good performance. Why didn't we, for example, after Maria, use local contractors and develop a program of building houses? After Dominica had gotten through Maria, it could go to Grenada and build houses. It could go to Jamaica and build houses. That's how you develop local capacity. Obviously, the Prime Minister either doesn't have this ability or is not interested.
What about our trucking capacity, for example? Don't we have that compared to the Chinese?
We cannot compare ourselves to a place that's over a billion persons population. So no, don't compare us to the Chinese. But in terms of our economy, we are at the lowest in terms of trucking capacity. Why? Because opportunity has not been given. Remember the days when you used to drive Rockaway and see the place full of local trucks? When last did you see trucks back at Rockaway?
It's been a while.
Exactly. Because if you don't have the opportunity, the truckers can't pay the bank, they can't get a new loan, they have no work. I can tell you, you ask most people in the Truckers Association whether they support government or not, they will say when Ace Engineering get a job, they know they have work and they know they get paid on time. We develop better capacity in the local industry than the government.
But Matt, Tony, not to cut you short. Even on your program not too long ago with the Kainago situation territory, I remember I heard a trucker call or somebody called to say, that
They've not been
the
paid?
government were having difficulty in getting trucks, the local trucks and so on, to come help. Because the truckers do not want to work for the government because they don't get paid.
But
They do work and they don't get paid.
But see what happened after was storms like Maria. We reserve all the things like dredging the river for a company that was created just to dredge the river.
The red trucks.
The red trucks,
Mhm.
which was a set of Dominicans, I understand, politicians, and a firm in Barbados.
Or Trinidad.
Barbados,
Mhm.
not Trinidad. They brought the trucks and the excavators from Trinidad, from Trackmaster, something Track. I can't remember the name of the company.
Mhm.
But the company was created months after Maria, so they could harness all of this work, and they were handsomely paid. Did a tender go out to dredge the river? How do you develop capacity without opportunity? Should people, Dominicans, don't have millions of dollars just to buy excavators and truck and put there waiting for jobs? No, it's the roots man, the poor guy who save his money, buy a truck after being a truck driver, save it, and provide the capacity. But if you don't give them the opportunity, how can they develop themselves?
Let's take a phone call. Are you there, caller?
Yeah, good day, good day, Martin, all of your panel there.
Yes.
I want to say good day to Mr. Brisbane. I don't know if it's Jerry Brisbane who had the supermarket in
That's
Kingston.
the same Jerry, yes.
Well, Jerry boy, I want to congratulate you. You have been a hero. And I will tell you who I am, and I want to thank you at the same time for your assistance towards my project in my community of Granby. I interviewed you at Radio Bamako on 2 occasions. And that brought me victimization and discrimination because I interviewed people who are having some information to share to the public, and that weakened me. I interviewed Mr. Blackmore, I interviewed Lennox, I interviewed Sikiri and John Thompson Franklin, but I never used the station to make politics for either side. But all we were doing is asking questions. And we used to have Miss Charles, who was the PAL rep. On many occasions, she was always, when the death of her husband was celebrated in Granby, it was the 2 or 3 years of his passing, she had need something, and we had a program. Her son was there, and we always do that. We never have biasness in terms of taking sides. We just analyzing. We interview you.
So what is the question this afternoon? I just wanted to, because we want to stay focused. What is the question this afternoon?
Okay, Matt. I just want to finish. I want Mr. Brisbane to give Matt his number for me because I really want to talk to you, my brother. And I want to say to you, thank you so. And I heard when Mr. Charles Sabrin called to sanction your business list, the only person who came on radio and disagreed with that was Crazy. He was not supporting what Charles Sabrin said.
Well, Jerry, give you'll give me your number and I'll share it with you. Okay, call me on my phone 225-6417. I'll share Jerry's number with you. Okay, thank you very much because we have to continue there. I know you're off focus at this time, but thank you for calling all the same. Man, all these projects are major money laundering schemes, and I don't think that the Chinese currently operating with the countries aren't representative of the Chinese government. Period. Are they money laundering schemes? I don't know if you want to answer that question, though.
I won't categorize them as that. I could categorize them as, construction can be and has been all over the world a very good corruption tool. If you take $1 million project, Matt, and you pay 5% under the table, that is $50,000, right? At the end of the day, you have situations where senior employees in a construction firm wouldn't make $50,000 in 6 months or in 12 months. So it can be used for corruption. So to say that construction is not used from corruption, I'll be naive to say that. My concern also is that the government does not have anything to compare the prices from, say, MMCE or anybody else, because it's a one-stop shop. MMC is what one might say has done state capture, like the Zupas did in South Africa. With the prime minister the president who went to prison. So we have this situation where the taxpayer and the country doesn't get value for money in terms of construction, and we have an environment that facilitates that. You have this the way that the CBI money is being dealt with, and you also have a procurement act that allows corruption, permits corruption. So you have that issue with corruption in terms of construction, and it happens all the while. It happens quite a bit. I mean, the amount of work that is given out without any tender process, how many thousand units of housing that was built on the backs of Hurricane Maria, on the name of Hurricane Maria, practically all of it was done in a non-transparent manner. So you have that. The health center the hospital in Marigot. I mean, a lot of the health centers, a lot of the resource centers, the airport, all of those are done in a non-transparent manner. So when things are done in a non-transparent manner, there is a very high possibility that corruption is the reason.
Let me just ask another question as it relates to your capacity there. Do you think any company, Dominic, you said the contract was not awarded to any local company. Do you think that we had the capacity on
Which
the ground?
contract?
The airport for building international airport?
Well, of course not. Of course not. To think that any Dominican entity could build an airport.
Right.
I mean,
Well,
but
you could collaborate.
exactly. And that's how we build capacity. When you put things in the open, people find ingenious way to collaborate and to make things happen. As my company has done that several times with foreign companies. So it's not an issue. The point is you also give yourself more opportunity to get the right job done, the job done properly. And you have more opportunities to get the right set of people and more opportunity to make sure the country get value for money. So there's no reason why, for example, the geothermal transmission project is being done by a Chinese company, but there's collaboration with local companies. It could have been given to MMCE, who would just give it to China, the China state construction company. No, it is Chinese civil engineering construction company. And there are several subsidiaries they call Railroad 17, Railroad 5, whatever. But they all one parent company. So when two of them bid, there's quite a possibility of collusion. That they know what each other price is building and they decide which railway company going to get this job. There is not that transparency provision to make sure that we get value for money.
But it's not only opening this up to locals, what Tony, I think, was also making a point. This was only strictly done with Chinese companies, not America, not Australian, not many other countries in the world.
But Jerry, it might come back to the whole question about the MOU. What was in that MOU?
And we have two now. You know that, right, Matt? We had two. There was one signed last year. And so we don't know. And then we're hearing now about the Belt and Road Initiative, which is a big thing of China all over the world. That has caused a lot of difficulty for many countries.
Debt diplomacy.
Debt diplomacy. Because what happens is that these countries now end up taking all this money, loans, building stuff, and then they are unable to pay. And all China does is a clever thing. They come in and they take the port. They take the airport. They take whatever it is that they have, and they control it. So we really have no idea what's in these. And Matt, again, it's why some of the signs that I have, I don't know if you know, Matt, they declared my signs at Kingfield again. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why the signs are causing so much
pain.
That's the third time. And it's the signs which is asking questions, and stating stuff because we don't know what's really at, for instance, copper mining hidden in new agreement. That's a strong possibility, right?
That's a question.
Copper mining hidden, we don't know. So sure as the agreements, we'll know. But the bottom line is, Mark, that the point Tony is making is that, these things have been all along, all these different projects have been just given to the Chinese. There's a reason for that, I guess.
And Matt, the unthinkable thing is that when the Chinese fund their own projects, only Chinese can do it. But when the government has funds to fund work locally, it still selects the Chinese. There's something very sinister about that.
That's what I'm telling you. We need to understand the MOU a little more.
Well, the question is, who signed the MOU on behalf of Dominica? Is that person really for Dominica, or do we have a traitor on board?
That's a big question.
Yeah. I heard people call Lennox Linton a traitor a couple of years ago. But I wonder whether they were looking at a mirror. And Guild had them calling people traitor. Because you cannot, as Ace Engineering, for example, I cannot sign a contract for Ace Engineering that puts Ace Engineering in a bad light. Unless I'm a traitor to Ace Engineering. Unless my interest is sinister and has nothing to do with Ace Engineering. How could the leader of a country sign agreements or memorandum of understanding with a foreign power that the country doesn't know about?
And Dominicans don't know about it. Let's take a phone call there. I know you want to interact. Are you there, caller? Are you there? Yes.
Yes, Mr. Peltier and Mr. Libler.
Yes.
Mr. Breezy Mac. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Go ahead. Yes, we're hearing you.
I want to support a lot of things Mr. Libler said. With his experience in building, I want him to go back to the Marigot history with the Japanese company, where you had all the different contractors from the Caribbean, Grenada, Trinidad, and many other smaller islands. Even Dominica, you had people like Stico Paris, who helps to build this slab to block the sea and the breakers. The project could almost done 6 months in advance, but what happened is sea, I think in somewhere in the May month, the sea come and interrupt it. Let's go back to that project. So what Mr. Libler is saying is true. Now, Matt, you have to go back and hold the Prime Minister to his statement. Just after the chuff in the reserve and on the north, he said, everybody come on board with the different ideas. Come on board, help the community. He was speaking about contractors, back people, nursing people. And that's why I tell you, Matt, you don't know everything, I don't know everything, but you must go back to the history. Mr. Libler talk about the airport there. In the 50s, there was a badge fort right at Cabanadi. I keep telling you that. They talk about Whitford have bars. Whitford have got bars. Cabana is a flat piece of sandbank that there. Anybody can come in there. And Mr. Libler said, if you want to improve on your buildings, people and your contractors, you have to give them skill. If the Prime Minister was interested in skilling the young people, even on the north, by now they would be able to get a man like Tutus to build a quarry up there with his welding skills, teach the young people up there how to angle machine, get the young people to work, the students to even work along with Mr. Libler on summertime in his construction. Look, he do some work up in the geothermal thing. You heard the minister, Vince, say that is AFI idea. Vince didn't hide it, Vince, the minister, say the geothermal is not he, it's AFI. It's AFI that pushed him to do it. So sometimes, I think, as Melvin was telling you this morning, I have nothing against the Prime Minister. I live in a riverside in Marigot. I get devastated. Nothing much have done to us. We never look about us, but we have to keep going on.
All right, caller, thank you very much. We have to move on there too. I just want to go back to the point, Jerry, you made, the Prime Minister made earlier there, and I want you to make, you have been there for a few months speaking to Dave Wash. I want to go back to that discussion here and play that clip with a little lengthy, speaking to more issues of Dave Wash. Let's listen a bit there. Let's listen there. Just hold on there. Hold on. Yes, of course. Let's listen to that.
With regards to Dave Wash, the quarry site and environmental compliance, the Governor of Dominica acknowledges the concerns raised by environmental activists, community members and opposition parties regarding the proposed quarrying site at Debwash to supply material for the International Airport project. There have been a few missteps in compliance with environmental protection requirements, but government is listening and acting. The Debwash Quarry proposal is currently under review by the Physical Planning Division. No final approval will be granted until all requirements of the Physical Planning Act and Environmental Protection and Biodiversity laws are satisfied. Dominica's designation as a nature island is central to our national identity and economy. Government will not compromise the integrity of our rivers, forests, or ecosystems. All projects, including critical national infrastructure, must meet the highest environmental standards. We are fully committed to balancing development with preservation. The international airport is vital for Dominica's long-term economic resilience. Tourism growth, agricultural growth, small business development, and disaster connectivity. Equally, preserving our natural environment is essential to public health, agriculture, and climate resilience. Government's responsibility is to achieve both, not choose between one. We cannot choose between one. We need growth, but we also need the environment. And there are ways about going about a responsible balance between the two. So we hear the concerns of citizens and environmental stakeholders. The planning authority's review process is designed precisely to ensure that development proceeds only with proper safeguards. Sustainable development means building for the future without destroying what makes Dominica unique. Finally, Debwash, did any member of the public or the media, environmental activists or opposition politician, notice the clarity of the water running from the quarry site on April 27th, one day after the trough, when other sources were feeding muddy water downstream into the Concord River. You could have drank the water from Debwash the day after the trough because of the environmental safeguards, the mitigation measures which were instituted on the site. And if anybody wants videos of those of the muddy water in Concord River coming from other sources and the water coming from the Debwash site, I have the videos. I can share that with you to understand that there are measures you can put in place to mitigate against the concerns of everybody, including myself, because people talk about the environment, but people who know me know that I practice the preservation, the protection of the environment, whether it's at my home or in the public sphere. And so, let me know if you will need the videos, if you haven't seen it, but the videos are available, and you can see how clean that water was. I too was shocked to see how clean it was, but pleasantly so.
All right. Well, you heard the Prime Minister. I did.
I mean, listen, we take a whole program to kind of go through that. But let me just summarize a couple of things with that. And I want to ask Tony, because this is Tony's program. First of all, he's just said missteps. There were some missteps.
Right.
There's a lot of mishap in this whole Debwash.
Mm-hmm.
So his own is missteps. Sam Raphael, who is the chairman of the airport board, said there were mistakes. Mistakes. And then on a program I did some time ago, I said there was miscalculations. Right? And really, that's what it has been, miscalculations. And I said, why? I said, because what they miscalculated was that two young Kalinago descendants would rise up from the ashes of the ancestors and challenge. Because, Matt, I mean, listen, I'm not because Jen is my daughter, I'm giving them credit, because there were other people before them. But I think it's pretty much, no, it's a fact that these two young people really came in and took the mantle, and brought it to the fore with the science, with everything. And there are other people who have come along. So everybody obviously has done their job. But that is what really, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of most people, changed. Right? Because prior to that, Matt, the government has been doing things vitae in their way. They have been defying. In fact, we'll play a little down the PS. Because I think that's a classic as to the cause. Because, as I said earlier on, Devash is a symptom, one. There are many symptoms. The cause is, I think, and that's why I want to play back this PS with his discussion with General, where, irrespective of what General said to him about the law and, not following the law, he just kept saying, what's the issue? Because to him, that's no issue. To the government, they're the law. And he said that because they're planning this thing. He said the only thing that was a problem was that the issue was that they did not tell the people, they did not bring it to the public, but the people in it. That's it. So the point is, Matt, that, I mean, this has been the way this leadership and government has been working. Right? And we've seen it again here. We see it with the marina in Portsmouth. No documentation at all whatsoever. So how is it you're saying that you're an environmental person, so caring about the environment and the balance and this, but yet still you are not utilizing the resources of the departments, which is the planning? Because that's the planning's role. The planning's role is to ensure that the proper tests and different things have been done, that to ensure that whatever it is you're going to do is done in a way to protect the environment and at the same time allow for the project to move ahead. But if you are not even engaged in the planning innovation, how can you, and you're not even having the experts, Tony will talk more about that, or the team of people to do the geotech, the other engineering things that need to be done to ensure mitigation is done properly to whatever else it is and so on. Then, I mean, really what he's saying there, flies in the...
To his point about the video and the clarity of the water.
Oh, that's I have videos. I can show you the videos, okay? What they did, I actually personally was up in the Devash area on the Sunday that day, the weather, later in the day, because my son was coming in that day on American, which eventually didn't come in. They stayed in Antigua. So I had to go back up on the Monday. I can tell you what they did, and even before probably dealing with the other matters, which is to me so much more important with Kalinago and other things. Oh, they quickly rushed to Devash. And I because I passed there the afternoon Sunday, and there was silt on the road. I mean, I have the videos of all the muddy water coming down. It was a disaster. Okay? And we have even videos of inside with waterfalls coming down, the whole works stuff. Boy, by the next day passing in the morning, it might have been the American came in about 10, 30, 11 or something. Maybe 1 o'clock we passed it. Oh, that road was swept. I tell you, swept clean. So they paid attention to that, I guess, because they didn't want people to see what had happened, right? The water was still dirty coming out. And I want to challenge the leadership.
He said he could drink the water.
He was obviously fooled.
We will. Well, I would wish that he did do that. But what I also wanted to challenge him on, because Matt, again, Sus water is what I drink and what everybody should look to drink, because that's live water. Is he passes there probably every week, traveling for his people, his security. What he should do is to get some containers, and I would recommend glass, because I know plastic is again toxic. And fill them up and drink it for the next 6 months.
Yes.
You
can drink the water.
Go do some tests. Check his levels of arsenic and mercury. Maybe he may not even have to do a test. Maybe by that time the signs will be already showing on his body. Because again, Matt, it's not a matter of even the color of the water, right? Arsenic and mercury, and we talk a little about that later.
Mhm.
They are colorless. You can't see them, so that for you to know it's in the water, tests has to be done. So you can see very clear water, but that water is toxic. You shouldn't be drinking that water. And in fact, it's the case with the Dewash area because tests were done.
Mhm.
And I understand what tests are now being done, so we wait for that. But Tony, so you touch on that, but I want to ask Tony Domat, if you
Yes.
don't mind, because the mitigation part of it is key,
Mhm.
and the cost and everything that needs to go into Dewash. And when they had at the meeting in January, I think, Tony, with the PS was there, I think it was in January. And Tony has some pertinent points because they put all this sedimentation, chamber,
Mhm.
and wheel wash. And Matt, since I've seen those figures, I've seen them physically. I've been on top,
Right.
taking pictures. I've gone on to YouTube. I've gone on to Google, and I've looked at sedimentation that's for quarries. I've looked at wheel washing things for the trucks. I mean, Matt, what I saw there, and that's not a joke. That's like a septic tank for my damn house or something. And it just really doesn't make any sense compared to what I've seen in these other things.
Tony, what do you make of the Prime Minister's statement that one could drink water? He said he had the videos of clarity of the water on that. Somebody suggesting there on Facebook that maybe he should bring some glasses for his cabinet ministers of the water.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I would just suggest if he says drinkable, that he should use it as his regular drinking water, which is what Jerry suggests. And I support that suggestion. But let us go back to mitigation costs. The planning document that gave the approval for the quarry, for not the quarry, but for the crusher, says the estimated cost of rehabilitation should be provided. It is admitting that nowhere in the EIA document or any other document provided by the developers is the cost of mitigation or rehabilitation provided. And that is significant. You are disturbing an area where heavy metals that normally would not flow in a significant quantity will be flowing into the Wash River. People can read about mercury and arsenic, the impact it has on the marine environment and humans.
And humans, yeah.
I mean, you are disturbing that. What is the cost of mitigating? How do you do that? What size sedimentation tanks you would need to make sure you capture all of it and prevent it from going into the marine environment or the aquatic environment? That cost is not being provided, Matt. And that is significant. The whole basis of putting this query there, whether it is to find copper or not, was hopefully Dominicans would be stupid enough to allow it to happen. That was the basis, because they have gotten away with murder too many times. And they think it's one other murder that they have to commit. So what? And that's the attitude. The point is, if you were to cost the mitigation costs, and MACU planning is not saying provide us with it. It's saying it wasn't provided. But we're giving the approval for the crushing plant anyway. And when you crush it, if there arsenic or mercury that's in it and you wash it there and it goes into the river, so what? It's the attitude of sowers that we have from our highest professionals, from PSCs and people like that. Not just politicians. And that's the problem. The country has gone into a slump we should have never allowed it to go into. And the longer we take to fix it, the worse it's going to be for us. So, so Matt, the Prime Minister also says that the airport is vital. Access to Dominica is vital. I agree with that. Whether we need to build a supersized airport is another question. We are now building an airport that can allow Airbus A380 to land comfortably. The Airbus A380 lands in Glasgow Airport, which is 9,000 feet, which is 2,743 meters. This airport that's being built now is being built with a runway of 2,850 meters. An Airbus A380 can carry 853 persons. The wingspan is the size of a football field. Basically, if it sits in Windsor Park, it occupies Windsor Park.
Wow.
We're building an airport for this type of thing. This is how we waste money. This is how we just throw money down the drain. Do we need an oversized airport? And all of that affects things like Dewash because we have done the wrong thing in the first place. We have not cared about.
You're not against the airport, but you say we don't need an airport of that size.
I'm not against access to Dominica, whether it is by sea or land. I don't think the assessment of what type of access we needed to Dominica was paramount. What was paramount is how much money we can wash for this airport project and who benefits from it. To help with the environment, to help with how much it costs people, to help with who is employed. And it's Chinese we're going to get employed, we'll bring Chinese here. The Chinese ambassador said some nonsense about the Chinese follow the laws. That is real garbage. And we know it. The Chinese don't pay social security. And I can tell you, Matt, if we build an airport for $1 billion, would be giving to social security some $40 million if we are paying social security, because wages would be at a minimum by our Dominican minimum wage bill. And the cost of employing people, the cost of labor in construction, a minimum of $240 million. And take the percentage that goes to Social Security, that's $40 million. Social Security is being defrauded of $40 million. And we say the Chinese follow the law, Chinese company follow the law.
Because the Chinese don't pay.
They don't pay.
They don't
we
pay.
know that. We know they don't pay Social Security.
And I remember we wrote to the Chinese ambassador, this is a letter here, when he claimed what we were saying was, slanderous and everything else. We never received a response. Again, we threw back channels, trying to take it further. Because again, as an ambassador to come out and do that in a country is unheard of. To speak directly to something like that, in his diplomatic position. And so he came out really trying to defame us, and and in the face of having hard evidence, Tony. This wasn't a saying stuff that is not in written evidence.
But Jerry, as you said, Dewash is a symptom.
It's a symptom.
We have some serious problems in this country. And as I've told people, Mugabe stayed in Zimbabwe for 40 odd years. If we don't fix up ourselves, we're going to be in this shit for a long, long time.
Because, what Tony's saying, I just want to come back to this thing about the airport. Because it's all interlinked. You can't get away from it. People say, you want to stop it. Look, I don't want to talk about that. I think all of us as Dominicans who travel
they say all of you guys are anti-airport.
They can say all what they want, but that's just a narrative to try to obviously undermine what we're doing. But we've stuck to our position. We haven't changed. Everything has remained on track. But the point is what again Tony say is, and I have said that to people, I am for better access. Right? And I've also said development at any cost is not progress.
No.
It's regress. And that's the point Tony is really trying to make here again. Because you're talking about building this size airport in Dominica, which is not required. In fact, Matt, I have information. And Dominica will be the third largest airport in the region, from Trinidad all the way up to Bahamas. Third largest. Barbados, which has one of the largest tourists, 2.5 million tourists a year. The airport is grossly underutilized. Okay, as one pilot even told me, you could literally lie down on the airport from early in the morning till 2 because most of the international and the main flights coming from 2 o'clock in the afternoon from America, Europe. The airport is quiet before that, right? So, but the point I want people to understand, which is what you're saying, Matt, is in building that size of an airport, because it's all linked, we can't get away from it. You now need so much material, right, to now have to do this runway, rock and tarish and everything else. So that is why now Dewash more like came into play, because Dewash initially was never in the original thing. There's nothing called Dewash. But now all of a sudden they need rock like crazy. And then, you know, the Crapo Hall situation, for whatever reason, because nobody knows what's going on, right? They had the Anzime thing, quarry.
Quarry.
I understand that quarry still has material, but
Still
there
have
is
good material.
something to do with the owners and something may have come up. I don't
Well,
know.
it's a matter of the Chinese not wanting to pay, and that's the bottom line. Because I purchased material from Debonch for the project.
No, Debash. Anzime.
Ansime for the project that we're doing at. So I apologize for that.
That's okay.
We purchased material from Ansime for this project. It's pretty good quality material. It can be tested
Has been tested.
and be tested. So
And Polio has ample amount of material. I tell you,
with
I've spoken
minimum
to
waste,
people
and
with-
that's very significant. The amount of waste that is projected to be generated from Debonch is monumental. It's more than the material that you plan to get. Doesn't make sense.
Let's take a phone call. Are you the caller? Yes.
Hey, gentlemen, blessings to you all and thanks for the effort. That's what that happened to the Stockholm syndrome. A man with a woman, even if he's a millionaire, you have to make sure that woman is always broke. Anything you want, come and ask me. That's what Charity is doing with the Chinese. Keep Dominicans on their knees and keep foreigners working so they're being held under duress, hostage, and everything we need to look for the Prime Minister, the PAL rep, we need to look for somebody. That is systematically and psychologically done, that economic crisis in which you plunge the country. So everybody are on their knees begging. I want to give thanks, my brethren and them, for your effort. Everybody that is playing a part in trying to wake up people up that is fast asleep. And they say they need to alter. Matt, you see the cross now, you carry it?
I'll send you the picture.
Okay. All right.
All right, 44930. Somebody says, Matt, what the Prime Minister should have said at the press conference is that the water was so clean and he drank it. The proof is in drinking the water. 449. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. That's a WhatsApp message. You're not Matt speaking, eh? A WhatsApp message. Hello, talk to me. Are you there?
Matt, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, yes.
Good afternoon to your guest. Because
Yes.
the water looks clean does not mean it's clean, number one. Number two, while we're discussing the nitty-gritty, I will say it again, Matt, I've said it several times. We as citizens cannot participate in this country without knowing what the memorandum of understanding is with China. This is an insult to the voters of this country, a gross insult, and they should remove this government if they refuse to tell them what is in the contents of the memorandum of understanding. Thank you. Enough said.
All right, somebody says, last Sunday, when I passed in Debonch, at the mining site then on the road there, it was well cleaned. That's the one that's the one why they would believe that the throw-off did not affect the area. In Kalinago territory, that they should have cleaned up. So they concentrated on the Debonch site, and that's what
I mean, and that's the least priority in a sense, you know, because I saw that and I just laughed. I said, and Matt, I can tell you this, this was cleaned like a house. I mean, it was really clean because I passed the day before. I have pictures of the debris. I have videos of the debris.
From the
trough.
From trough, yeah, because Gary went there. Gary was on the thing. He took videos, he took everything, pictures, and others took pictures. I have all of that, man. It's right there. So if the leadership wants, I can share my videos with him also. And I guess what he's talking about is that the day after they came and they really cleaned up. Maybe even in the evening, I don't know. But the point is this, Matt, that they should really, or there was a reason for that. I guess they really didn't want the public to see how much debris and stuff was on the road and all over the place, man. The inside the place was like a swimming pool. Okay, so but Matt, again, you know, coming back to what again we're talking about the Chinese, because Tony, again, that's what the point I really want to emphasize, and that's why I said early on that I believe that's why the leadership's hand is tied. I think if they had their way, they would have gone to Coolio along. I really believe that too. I believe they would have taken him out, but the Chinese, in my opinion, that's what's causing the problem, right?
The rift there.
The Chinese do not support local entities
No.
and buy stuff.
Yeah.
They may buy a shop or something if they run out, something may happen. But other than that, they bring every single thing in. And it's important for the government because in the Bahamas, I remember that some time ago, there's this big hotel being built. And the Bahamian government insisted, right, that so a percentage, 40%,
40%.
but the workers had to be Bahamians.
But you may be making a point, Jerry, because if you do a survey in the supermarkets, how many Chinese you see shopping?
Matt, I worked in Belleville-Chopin
Yes.
alongside the Chinese, and I can tell you, the Chinese bring in duty-free every scrap of food, rum, cigarette, everything. The only thing they bought from Dominica was aggregate and cement. And right now they don't buy cement from Dominica. They bring in cement. And I have a problem with cement leaving China and coming to Dominica to be used because cement have a shelf life of accepted 6 weeks. The transit time for cement from China is already
2 to 3 months.
Well, if it comes straight, probably a month, probably 4 weeks. Now you have to move it from there and use all of this. You see the amount of cement that come in a shipment.
Oh,
can you use all of that in 2 weeks? No. So the integrity of this project also is another area where the integrity of this international project comes to play. And what are we getting at the end of the day? I mean, it's a fact that almost no project done by the Chinese have any oversight. No project. I mean, you see it. You see the disrepair that even the State House was in soon after. You see it at the college.
Even the homes, the local homes.
The local homes is a disgrace.
You mean the apartments?
The apartments.
Yeah. I mean,
I have seen what the Chinese did as foundations in Belleville-Chopin. I have seen after Maria, before all the steels rust, all they did was try to straighten it and cast concrete in it. I have seen a lot of shit happen. I mean, at the end of the day, look at the West Coast Road, what is called after my name, Edward LeBlanc Highway. If you look at the wearing cost of this road, it's as bad as the road from Portsmouth to Hatton Garden, which was built in 1986. Calculate how many years that road have and compare it to the one from Roseau or Pottersville to Portsmouth. It's not better.
Let's take a break. We need a break there for word from our sponsors. We're going to come, Dominica, right back. Right back.
Happy anniversary to Digicel. 20 years. Celebrate, connect, and win 20 years with Digicel. Celebrating relentless connectivity across Dominica, and we're giving back to you with more prizes and surprises.
Digital in 20. If you with Digicel, then you have plenty. 20 years we rolling with Digicel. If you're not with us, then hear me well. I have my TV and still have my cell. I have my internet all from Digicel. 20 years of reconnection. So pay attention.
Stay connected. Win with the ultimate VIP experiences. Brunch voucher 6 months. Bill free. Win more. It's simple. Activate, switch, stay connected. Win. Visit your nearest Digicel store or speak to an agent today.
2020, Digital in 20. If you with Digicel, then you are plenty. I think with Digi you can win. Celebrate, connect, and win.
Great things happen when we crunch together. So crunch and share the love of KFC's bucket together. $45 gets you 6 pieces of chicken, 2 fries, 1 corn, 1 biscuit. With KFC, there's always chances to win big. 3 winners, 3 destinations for an all-expense-paid trip with Sunrise Airways, St. Martin Carnival, St. Kitts Music Festival, and Lucian Carnival. $1,500 spent in cash, hotel accommodation, event tickets, and ground transportation. All you have to do is purchase a bucket together. Write your name and phone number at the back of your receipt and drop it in the drop box. KFC's finger licking good.
In the Caribbean, hurricanes are not a question of if, but when. What matters most is how quickly families and livelihoods recover. Flexible Hurricane Protection FHP is a parametric insurance solution. It does not rely on assessing individual damage. It is triggered by verified storm data. When agreed wind speeds are reached within defined zones, the policy activates automatically. No claim forms, no adjusters, no waiting months. If triggered, funds go directly to you to repair your home, restore crops, replace equipment, or stabilize lost income. FHP is available to households, farmers, small businesses, and community groups. Flexible hurricane protection, designed for speed, designed for certainty. Available through participating credit unions or online at corpathinsurance.com. Call 440-9052 or 317-1577 before the season begins.
Matthew, guests are making some very significant points as it relates to the size of the proposed airport in relation to other Caribbean countries. Well, most certainly, this is why the American president is so concerned about the Chinese using this as an army base. Again, to date, we really don't know that our prime minister signed on behalf. Oh, God help us. They're watching us like a hawk while things are nice and creamy in Portsmouth. Or somebody suggesting here. Let me see if I can read another text. Matt, can you ask, let me see. Can you ask Tony if there is any agency or firm doing special third-party special inspections of the ongoing works at the airport project as is mandated by the billing code of the Commonwealth of Dominica? Tony, can you answer the question?
I really do. I'm not aware. I doubt it very much. Who enforces it? The Planning Division have not shown that it is enforcing much of those things. I remember at some of the public projects that I was on, you hardly see the Planning Division. So I doubt it. I doubt it very much. I remember that when they were building this, rehabilitating the same West Coast Road, the engineers had issues with the Chinese not following, and they would just call ministers and they would override what the engineers say. So, I mean, you had all of those issues. So I doubt it very much.
Well, let me ask another follow-up question there, because every time, these people are on the radio, of course, the government side, they say that they have their engineers, their specialists, the professionals doing the inspections or testing. Are you aware that any testing is taking place in Dominica?
Matt, when I went to Debranche with a few other group of people, including Jerry, they had not done any boreholes, which is geotechnical analysis and studies, before they went to planning. They were doing some then. Let's go back to something that happened a few months ago. The grammar school auditorium. Is there a report that we can see? So when the government says that it does testing and whatever and it engineers, things have to be transparent. For who is it doing it? Where's that information? The planning document letter granting the approval for the crushing plant says there was no data. So what are they testing? Where's the test? There were no test results. So what are they testing?
So you have nothing in black and white to say this happened and this happened?
No. And obviously, planning doesn't have it. Planning has admitted it doesn't have it.
So who are these experts?
I don't know.
That's what Janelle and Gary have been asking for, when they want to provide us with the research, the information, science, everything.
The body that's supposed to protect the interests of the country in terms of what should be done right in terms of development is saying, I do not have it. You did not provide it.
Let's take a phone call. Are you there, caller? Yes.
Yes, yeah, hello.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. I was, a couple of weeks ago, I think I listened to the former director of forestry, his statement about this Debwash issue. I was wondering whether your panelists would be able to dive into that and maybe assess that statement and,
give us some authentic information based on what he said.
What did he say? What did he say?
From,
What did he say?
in essence, he was saying that the area was already used some time ago to extract materials for other projects on the island. So I'm not sure if that was an understatement. And other things I can't remember really, but that one really registered in my mind.
I think he was referring to, if I remember, that the Deboche area was used for the Melville Airport, was it?
The same outcrop
Yes.
of basalt
Mhm.
site rock. It's right by the bridge.
Right.
Right there.
It's surface, on the surface.
Right on the surface, yeah. In cutting the road and doing stuff and so on in the past, because road works were done. I mean, that material was there. There was no what you call
Digging or mining?
digging or anything. It's pushing through that, build the road. It's right there because I mean, man,
It's a
look,
byproduct of the road
it's a
works.
byproduct of road works. Of other
I
things
mean,
or
it
whatever
happens all the
happened,
while
and
in
not the same.
construction. No,
it
it's
was
not the same.
available and was available to be easily, because that again is what, Matt, a proper quarry is like, where you have this rock face. So that was like, it's like in your face, okay? But now they want to go after that same flow, right? But again, for quantities, as to say, 400.
The quantity is
400 cubic meters of stuff. And it means now, Matt, it's like a flow. It's a flow. It's a volcanic flow. So that flow goes all the way inside behind the mountain. So now to get to it there, you got to take off all the dirt and the overload, the trees, everything, move that out to be able to get to the rock.
and generate 1.33 more of waste than you get in material.
And where do you put the waste?
That's the whole point. As I said, it will be several times the cathedral.
But Matt, listen, coming back to the waste, and Tony will come to the media, and we'll probably play this the PS. But coming back to the waste, I think it's an opportune time because there are two areas that were designated. It was Mr. Long on the Concord area, Serge Long, and it was at the Londonderry site, which, as Tony said, but Tony, that was you had initially, I think, mentioned 40 feet or thereabout. Well, they've been dumping, up there. They keep dumping. So it's maybe 50 feet now. I can't tell you, but it's building. So now, on top of that, as Tony's saying, you probably have to put another 60 to 70 feet.
Yeah.
And man, I went there physically, and there's a whole barn building by the sea. And I went on the top, it has a sunroof. And I stood up there and tried to envisage another 60, 70 feet on top of what's there already. And it's like creating a mountain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a bunch of stuff. And that's also to a swamp area. I mean, it has messed up. I went by the river. It is the sediment in the river silting like I don't people even use there anymore. So that has been again screwed up. That's another massive screwed up. But coming back just quickly, Tony, to the deposit of the waste. So there are two areas. Now that's let me go to the stop order for Mr. Long and the compliance notice. And it clearly says, that an offense was committed by dumping soil material in close proximity to the Pegua River. Right? The remedy, by virtue of the stop order being served on you, you are hereby prohibited and directed to immediately cease and desist from carrying out or continuing this activity noted above, which constitutes a breach of planning control or are so closely associated therewith as to constitute substantially the same activity. Now, that's a stop order. That's ours simply to stop, man. Okay? Then they went further with a compliance order. Okay? And the compliance order then spells out the particulars of development constituting a breach. Okay? And the remedy. So it again says you carried out, permitted, or caused to carry out the dumping of soil material in close proximity to the Pegua River. The remedy now, man. Remedy. That's the planning. Remove all soil material that was dumped in close proximity to the Pegua River. Okay, that's the remedy, man. Now this was on January 19th. The specified date. It was issued December 1st, And this was to be done by January 19th, Tony. We are now in May. So during that time, Matt, Gary and I had a meeting, several meetings, okay? But in one of the meetings, I asked the chief planner, right? Why is it that this compliance order has not been enforced? Because the material has not been removed. Tony. And interestingly enough, he said, that's Mr. Haley, that the reason is because they're having difficulty in finding suitable alternative dump sites. And he even went on to further say that in Dominica, it's very difficult to find very good, suitable dumping sites. So imagine, Matt, that small amount, and that's a very small amount compared to what they're going to move. Nothing has been done. We are now in May. I wrote to writer Matt, and I want to, read that thing. I wrote to the physical. In fact, I never had it to me, but that's okay. I wrote to the chief planner, and I asked him again, what is the planning to do to enforce its compliance order? Because Tony, if this order is not complied with, it means that the strength, the authority of the planning division is compromised. Because you're telling a man, remove stuff, you have the authority to do it, and he's not doing it, and you're doing nothing about it. So Matt, that was done about maybe 3 weeks ago, and up to now, there's been no response. I've gone in maybe about 3 times physically. I've called, and hopefully I will get a response to that. And also to Tony, which you can come to with the mitigation works, because Antonio will address that more. The mitigation works, Matt, with all this glorious mitigation works that the leadership talks about, water so clean.
The big wall.
I don't know if you've seen, Tony, that they put some Gabion basket, gibberish kind of thing on the other side of the road with the material. What's that road material? You use the black. It's the for filtering. Geotextile material to try to filter the water and the silt. And anytime you go up there again, you must take a look at it. It's a disaster, man. It's a total disaster because it doesn't work. And so everything that they have tried so far to mitigate, even the simple stuff that they have done, the minimal works, has failed. And Tony can talk more about that because he brought that up at a meeting with the PS.
Yes.
Before you move on there, Tony, the guest, of course, somebody's pointing there that you referred to day one as a symptom. I'm still waiting for you to explain what is the symptom of. What are you talking about in terms of symptom of other activities?
No, it's a symptom of the bad management of the country. That's really what it is.
Yeah, I think that's somebody's looking for an explanation. Because you keep referring to a symptom of.
Symptom of bad management and symptom of where the country is heading in terms of pretty much into ruin. The Prime Minister said that they respect the environment, but you can't respect the environment and have a project like that continuing in this kind of way. And
with the level of disrespect for the law and the departments and institutions that are there to protect.
Yes. Yeah. I think that person may have followed us late. Let's play this PS in planning.
But I was. You want to do that?
Yes.
Well, we could do that after.
Okay.
Let's play that there.
Is that they are already within the northern forces. So they stopped it. So exactly. So they've stopped it. But all of this does not have permission. So this currently.
Which permission? Let's take it from the top.
And which physical plan? So this is what we've been trying to explain. So what is the issue? So the issue is that they are already within the northern forces. So they stopped it. So exactly. So they've stopped it. But all of this does not have permission. So this currently. Which permission? Permission for physical planning. And which physical plan? Physical planning is the physical planning division. And why is that necessary? Because that's what the law says. Because the law says that was the issue. The issue is that they are operating without permission, which makes this an illegal project. That's illegal because they don't have any authority or any permission under the laws of the Commonwealth of Dominica to operate at this site, which necessitates that they have permission.
Read the law. Read the law. So in other words, what you're telling me that a national project is like that's what you say. Essentially.
What you mean, like, no, all mining operations have to have approval from the Physical Planning Division before they can commence any groundbreaking activity. That's what the law says. And actually, it's not just permission. They have to submit about 10 different documents,
So
including a map of the
authority
site, an
given to
environmental
them.
social impact
Listen to me.
assessment.
This is the authorization given to them. Proceed. We hand you over the site.
That's
Proceed.
that according to the laws of the Commonwealth of Dominica, which we have to respect. Law and order is essential. That this site is operating outside of the laws of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and so is an illegal
Let me
operation.
tell you, when you leave here, I want you to make a decision. All right?
I want you
You
to
want
make that
to, you have
decision.
to make a decision
Okay.
as to whether you hijack the government system for processes
I'm not
that are followed
hijacking.
you do not know about.
I'm simply
You should
polling
ask for- you should
the
ask for
government.
direction.
I'm
Government
poll-
has followed certain procedures. The
But
only
they- but
problem,
then-
the
then
only
we-
issue is that the public was not aware.
No.
The public is not aware.
They are operating
You are
against
not
the laws of the Commonwealth of Dominica. The same way I told you that they are currently within our parks, and you didn't want to believe that they are within the Northern Forest Reserve, and Forestry just confirmed what I said. It's the same way I am
No,
also
but I'm
trying to
asking
tell
you
you.
the same question. What is the issue?
The issue
What
is
the
that
issue?
the issue is
Uh-huh.
that they went within our protected
So
site
what is the
without
issue?
any authority, without any permission, and that they are
And what's the
operating.
issue?
They are operating the site without
What's the issue?
any
You mean to
authority
tell
or
me that
permission
a
from the
developer
government.
and a contractor just fall in here and do that? That's what you're saying.
I'm saying that they are acting against the laws of the Commonwealth of Dominica, the Dominican people.
Dominican people make the laws.
Of course.
I didn't know that.
Of course, the Dominican people
I
make the
thought
laws.
it was Parliament who makes laws. in
And the
Dominican.
Parliament are Dominican people. You cannot have a parliament making laws for Dominica
and
without
the
Dominican
Parliament
people.
is the Dominican people who make the laws.
But of course.
So did the, and let me ask you a question. Did the contractor and the developer just show up here and do?
Well, that's all that we need to know. All that we're
So
asking
that
for
is
the
what I'm
information.
telling you. The only issue that is there is that the public was not made
No,
aware of what
The issue is
Parliament
the issue is that
and
the
the
law
government of Dominica
stipulates
done.
that they need to have permission to be able to operate at this site, and they have no permission, which means that this site is illegal and it is operating.
Who determines something is illegal?
The law
The law?
determines the law. What? So does the law not determine if something is
I don't
legal
know
or
the law is a
illegal?
person. I don't know the law is a person. A law is rules.
These activities depend on
Who is this person?
Set
sorry?
procedures.
May
Set
you introduce
procedures.
yourself to me?
Set procedures. All I'm saying, and here my last statement, the procedures that were followed associated with this site was not made public. That's all I'm saying.
May you introduce? Sorry, I didn't catch your name.
You said something.
They're going to reverse. You need to come off
Sorry.
on this side.
You're saying something that they were not made public.
All right, Dominica, you've heard it for yourself. This banter between Janelle Brisbane and the PS of planning that. What you saying, Jerry?
It's timely that you played this again because your previous question to me from your caller was we keep talking about the issue. And so what's the cause?
Or the symptom.
Or the symptom, yeah. Sorry, I heard issue so much. What's the symptom? And you know, and so we informed him what the cause was. And that's exactly because this is a PS cinema. I don't think people understand how serious
that is
this statement is by this gentleman, you know, a PS who yields a lot of influence and, as Tony said, and power and stuff in the government. And so here is it basically, to sum up what this guy, in my opinion, said, Matt. The only issue there was that we did not inform the public that we were breaking the law. That's all.
Yes.
Because journalists telling him that you're breaking the law, and he's asking, what's the issue?
What's the
the issue?
issue?
You're breaking the law. You don't have planning public. And he's like, well, what's the issue? And he's like, that's not an issue for them. And so, Matt, basically, this is power on steroids. That's really where we are today in this country. That these people feel that they can do what they want, when they want, how they want. And again, that's it. Nobody can challenge them. Or in the past, probably nobody did challenge them. And again, that's where I came up with the miscalculation. It's not a mistake. It's not a misstep. It's a miscalculation because in this case with Debash, thankfully, they were challenged. And then now, again, they have this mess to try to deal with. But we are not the ones who created the mess, man. And so you find a lot of times people trying out to blame us because we are obviously Tony just as citizens looking to try to get information and stuff which we're entitled to. And so all of a sudden now it's like, because you're exercising that right, that we all have as citizens, you're trying to stop something or destroy something, but really they're the ones who have created that problem and environment, and they're the ones actually destroying others. Yeah. So
yes, and that's the symptom that we're speaking about, the issue where the highest officer in the ministry, whose job is predominantly to make sure that the country, on the part of the country under his administration, operates within the law, is saying, what's the issue if we break the law? The only issue is that we didn't tell the country that we're breaking the law to serve the contractor or the developer. I mean, how can we govern this country in this callous way?
Proceed and we will give you the land. That's all.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
Let me take a phone call. Are you there, caller? Are you there? Yes.
Yes, Mr. Pelted. Thank you very much. I may not know nothing much, but I just, when that piece where you play, the lady and the other man, she is asking the man a question. But this man is very unmannerly. Why do I say that? He's asking the lady a question, and he's hearing her, but he's not listening to her. And what he does, again, he is interrupting her so that she lose focus on what she wants to say. So that's very bad to see people that are educated. They say have they this, they have that. And you cannot stand up, stay and listen to what the lady. When the lady finishes talk, then you'll bring out your point of view. But you see, he tried to tie her up and try to say this and say that and then and all this kind of thing. Many of the people in Dominica, we have to learn. We have to learn to pause when someone and another come in. And we have to learn that when a person saying, when we hear people, you see like the elderly people that know about these people there, many of them, they are there, but they will not open their mouth and say something. Now, while new ones coming in to help in the country. So there's a saying in the Bible, always learning, never coming to the truth. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So Matt, we were talking earlier about mitigation methods. The fact is, if you have to provide, and planning admitted that there was no cost for rehabilitation and mitigation method from that point of view as well. If you have to develop mitigation methods, it's important that the planning division understands what the mitigation methods are, what the calculations are. The planning division may not have expertise within themselves to go through the mitigation methods and the calculations that are there. But that's why the country have laws. And one of the law is that you have to be a registered engineer to deal with some of those things. And a registered engineer is responsible to the state. You can be taken to task if you do things or if you make statements or if you give calculations that are bogus. So would
Before you go ahead, Tony, quickly, you brought that up, and that's like new to me. Is Josiah a registered engineer? Do you know?
I don't know that, and the registry for registered engineers is kept at CDP.
Okay.
And one can look to see whether he's registered. One can ask the Board of Engineers whether he's registered. I don't know that he's registered.
Okay.
So that's the whole point. The planning division also have in its building codes and other things that requires a registered engineer to be involved in certain aspects of giving planning permission. So the cost of mitigation, I mean, just the sedimentation tanks, the bogus sedimentation tanks that they say that they had out there. I asked for the calculations. I was willing to review it as guidance. because I can be modest to say a little bit of experience in designing sedimentation tanks, and no way can those sedimentation fulfill what is required. Not at this stage, not in future. And when you have to deal with, especially when you have to deal with heavy metals, no way what they have there can deal with that. So the planning division has a responsibility to the country to make sure it provides the required guidance and give the approval for things that should be given approval for. It has a responsibility to protecting the country. And things like the stop orders and compliance notice, it cannot at one point say that you should stop and remove the material and then turn a blind eye and say there is no such material, there's no such place to put the material. My point about the 7 acres in Londonderry is even amplified. As I have said, to get this amount of land, if we were to use the same 19 point whatever acres of land, you would need 22 feet of material height for disposal. Where are you going to get that? How much? 22 feet on 19 acres. That's 19 acres of our scarce land to be devoted to that. Why are we going through that when you have existing quarries that can provide the aggregate with much less environmental issues, much less economical issues? The net effect of buying aggregate from existing quarries is that there will be less environmental impact, less economic impact, and there will be more work for Dominicans that exist in this country, that the airport is being built for Dominicans and it can support Dominican livelihood. For sure, we know the airport that side airport would not be operating economically. At least give some work so that we can pay the tax to operate it.
Yeah. And Matt, you know, what Tony just mentioned about the mitigation works there. I told him, Tony, I saw one sedimentation tank. Is there more than one?
I think I saw two, as you said, septic tank size sedimentation tank. They're really crunch pools, really.
Yeah, because Matt, anytime there's rain up there, reasonably enough rain, because we had been up there a couple of weeks before too, this major activity, and in less than no time, Tony, the water is brown again. No, that's just a coloration, as we said. That's nothing to do with the mercury, the arsenic, and other things.
But you see, Jerry, in some cases, you have to add chemicals to the water to make sure the material settles.
Right.
So it's a process. It's science based.
Of course.
So it's not just put in a tank and expect it to.
And it's based on volumes of the water.
Of course,
because just like a septic tank in your house.
It's based on volumes of the water, but also based on how much sediment
is in
the water.
And in the case of Dewash, the sediment is quite high.
And also, what is the end result you need? So the volume of water, the amount of sediment in the water, and what the end result you need. How much sediment is acceptable?
Right.
How much chemicals, how much heavy metals is acceptable?
Because the thing is, Tony, inevitably, that's what people need to understand. Water takes the easiest course.
Of course.
And I can tell you, unless if Matt, they do certain kind of storage where they can take that water out of there, but you start to put it somewhere. And in Dominica is a problem. Okay? Because anywhere you put water in Dominica is going to end up in our river, in our sea, and whatever it might be, pretty much. And so in Dewash, because of that proximity to that river, Tony, inevitably, right, that water is going to end up in the river. There is no way they can prevent that from happening.
Jerry, I could tell you, take all the environmental people in Dominica, take all in the Caribbean, and let them choose a quarry in Dominica. They should be one of the last places.
But
because it's a nightmare. It's an environmental nightmare. It is a financial nightmare. No way can it be economical.
That's the whole point.
Quarry material.
I don't have to go beyond Dominica because I did speak to several quarry people here. And they said clearly to me that that is the last choice that they would ever
you have the heavy metals, which is not visible to people. But you also have a rough terrain, very steep slopes. You also have the upper soils, which can
the overlay is crazy.
Slides very easily.
Yeah.
And then you have the heavy rainfall.
The water. But it's not only rainfall, Tony. The point is also to, as you know, you got to wash the stone. So there's water from all of that also you have to dispose of properly.
Well, besides the runoff, you have to wash the aggregate.
You have to wash the aggregate.
And washing it, you have to have sedimentation tanks for that. And those are huge tanks. And it's a lot of added chemicals that you put in the environment.
And
How
then-
do you dispose of those?
It's a nightmare.
It's
So
a nightmare.
it is-
It's a
you
total
know-
nightmare. And for the Prime Minister to say that it's settled, that we comply, I mean,
And
he
Mark-
obviously, either he doesn't know what he's speaking about, he's fool, and he have to understand that
He
he's
says-
fool,
he says
or he
that-
knows what he's talking about, and he's not interested
He
in
loves the
Dominica.
environment, he says.
well, Matt,
Well, it's one or the other, Matt. Either he's fool or he's not interested in Dominica.
I mean, listen,
One or the
that's just words. But listen, Matt, you know, I just want to say this. That's why it was unfortunate. And I want to call out this person, and I'll call out somebody, but Lennox the church, the historian. When he went on a program, you know, Matt, with Mr. Blackmore, and they discussed the day wash. And, you know, it was, I mean, obviously he gave the history, that's fine. But it's the manner in which he said, you know, that day wash, it's going to be a mess. That's what he said. It's going to be a mess, which is an understatement. It's going to be a disaster. But it was said in a way, Mark, like it's going to be a mess, but it's a mess we have to deal with because the airport needs to be built. And I mean, somebody of that caliber, Mark, it was quite unfortunate that is the sort of approach, Carlos approach.
That
he
development
took.
at any cost.
That is like development at any cost. Or because he even mentioned in the program, Tony, several times, oh, well, you know, the Freedom Party tried to bring an airport, the UWP, and, you know, it's, you know, we need an airport, it's about time we need it. And it's like development at any cost.
You see-
And this is a historian, he should know.
What this historian doesn't understand is that we're not moving backwards. Aviation has been improving.
That's the point.
And more you have long-range aircraft, very small long-range aircraft coming. I mean, if we were told 15 or 20 years ago, we would have flights from Miami or New York to Dominica on the same Melvin Hall Airport, would say you're crazy.
That's right.
But that's how it's going. The A380 Airbus went bust because the technology ran ahead of it. We didn't need big airplanes anymore.
And it's too costly to
It's too
maintain
costly,
and everything else.
and you don't need it anymore. You can have the same long-range aircraft, much smaller, much more economical. The whole point is that we're building an elephant.
Yeah.
Because we could have done much better with Melvin Hall as it is. And if we need to move on, we could have done much better by making sure we have a proper ferry service, a proper seaport to take people from Guadeloupe, Martinique. We could have done much better by purchasing planes and making sure that we go to the hubs in the Caribbean and service Dominica. We need access. We don't necessarily need a big airport.
Guys, we have to, of course, according to programming, we have to kind of wrap it up here. And I just wanted to provide you this afternoon with an opportunity to wrap up this afternoon. I know we have many more points, so let's see if we can do what we can
But
do.
give
in
me a
quick
couple of
time.
minutes because, again,
Yes.
I want to come to this thing with the arsenic and mercury because
Right.
it is so important, yeah,
Mhm.
of the dangers of this thing in the river to the people. And I want to call on the environmental health department people and so on. Because, Tony, as you know, it's not just a matter of doing one test. When you're quarrying, tests have to be done regularly.
Monitor.
Constant monitoring has to be done. And again, Matt, you know, this thing with the people, it's. I mean, for me, it's mind-boggling that you have the leadership of this country knowing that there were high levels of arsenic and mercury found, even in the reports of the developers themselves. The ESIs said that. In fact, they put it, Tony, as low concern, low, but the planning told them, no, this has to be moved to high concern. And so you had that information, Matt. And the public, the people in Concord were not informed at all or made aware. So they hid such important information, Matt. And so in my summing up, let me do two things quickly. Basically, I want to just let people understand what mercury and arsenic can do to the human body and everything else. So again, the test had already found dangerously high levels of arsenic and mercury in the water connected to extraction activities in the Dewash area. I mean, Matt, these are just not numbers on a page. Arsenic and mercury are some of the most harmful substances a human body can encounter. You can't see them, you can't taste them, but they are there. Arsenic exposure causes skin lesions, organ failure, and cancer. Cancers of the bladder, lungs, and skin. Long-term exposure weakens the immune system, damages the heart, and has been linked to diabetes. Okay? Mercury attacks the nervous system, causing tremors, memory loss, and difficulty speaking or walking. In pregnant women, even low levels of mercury can cross into the womb, robbing a child of healthy brain development before they ever take their first breath. In children already born, it stunts growth and causes lifelong cognitive damage. These are not rare or distant outcomes. These are documented, proven consequences. And again, Matt, what we have to understand is these rivers don't stay in one place, right? Waters move into streams, into soil, into the fish we eat, into the wells communities depend on. Once heavy metals enter a water system, Matt, cleanup is costly, slow, and sometimes impossible to get these heavy metals out. Okay? The people of Dewash did not consent to this, Matt. The Kalinago people did not consent to this because they would never consent it, right? And yet the mining moves forward. Okay? So we are asking Matt, every Dominican, every person who has drunk water from a river, every parent, every fisherman to pay attention. Ask questions, demand answers, because once the water is gone, Matt, no investment, no permit, and no promise will bring it back. People need to understand the seriousness of this matter. And Matt, lastly, I also want to again call on the authority of the planning department, because these are the people who can make that decision now. And in my opinion, Matt, I don't know why they have not moved to just say, the leadership talked about they won't move ahead unless it's planning. As far as I'm concerned, Dewash is a dead fish. It should be scrapped, period. There should be no more even attempts to mitigate, okay? Because all the situations in Dewash, Matt, every aspect points to a red flag. And so I want to call on these people once again, the board people, Ms. Carolyn Roberts, Mr. Emil Lancelot, Mr. Marcus Lestrade, Tassie Thomas, Burgess Stout, Ricky Brumant, Tamika Burton, and Mr. Chester Ely. They have that power tomorrow to stop Dewash. And even if the leadership decides to break the law, but at least they've done their job. And I mean, these people, I would hate to think that they, knowing what the situation is in the, especially with this arsenic and mercury, will go ahead willingly to allow this thing to go through, to then affect the livelihoods of all these people living down there. And not only that, man, the Dominicans who use that river. I will tell you personally, I will not bathe in that river at this point in time until I know proper tests have been done to clear all this arsenic and to show this arsenic and mercury doesn't exist anymore. Because again of the danger of that situation.
But that river is also used for river tubing by tourists.
That's the
Your final comment, Mr. Brown?
Final comments. Dewash. As Jerry said, it should be a dead letter. There are too many negatives to justify Dewash. The cost of transporting material from existing quarry is not that much more. As I said, they estimate about $3 million on a $1 billion project. We cannot subject an entire community, a major part of the country, to such environmental disasters by persons who don't care. We know the Chinese don't care. We know it. We see it in Ghana, we see it in Africa, we see it all over the world. When it comes to mining, when it comes to quarrying, the Chinese don't care. We know it. It's our country. I'm not sure if the MOU says it's not our country, but it's theirs. But we know it's ours, and we'll fight for it. And in terms of giving people opportunity, this country has forgotten how to do that. We have stopped giving Dominicans opportunity in this country. We have called the Chinese our friend. We call things China Friendship Hospital and all of this. But I mean, the people who have really served us and have said it before, a couple years ago, the FS, Financial Secretary, admitted that the European Union had given more money to this country on grant than any other entity. Is anything named after the European Union? I'm not necessarily supporting of Europe or anything, but let's do it in parallel. Europe is not our friend. Japan is not our friend. Nobody else is our friend. But yet we have an agreement before a friend that we don't know. If that is our friend, I don't need an enemy.
Well said. And this is how we're going to wrap to Talk on the Block. Very, very interesting.
In their mouth tonight. Remind them that they are not forgotten. Standing on the rock. Amen.